Hi, welcome to our discussion today of unit analysis with areas and volumes. Today we'll be talking at first about how to convert units that involve areas. So areas involve things like inches squared, meters squared, centimeters squared. Any length squared is an area. And then we'll also be looking at how to convert with volumes. And volumes are using cubes, so centimeters cubed, inches cubed, feet cubed, any distance cubed would be a volume. So let's get started. So we'll start with conversions involving areas, and we'll start with something fairly straightforward. We know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So what I'll do to show that graphically is I'll draw a yard here. Let's say that this line represents 1 full yard. So that means that a foot is about here and about here for a total of 1, 2, 3 feet in 1 yard. So this whole thing is 1 yard, and each one of these is 1 foot. Now the question is, how many square feet are in a square yard? We know that there's 1 yard equals 3 feet, but then how many are in a square yard? So a square yard is simply a box that measures a yard on all sides. So I'm going to draw it as if we're looking at the floor, so a little bit of perspective here, right? So we've got a box on the ground. It's a yard that way, a yard that way, a yard this way, and a yard back this way. So all these sides are 1 yard. That's 1 square yard. Now, of course, there are 3 feet on this side as well. So there's 1, 2, here's another, here, and here. So on every side there are 3 feet. The question is, how many square feet are in a square yard? And the answer, we can draw in all these lines, connecting these guys. And then here, this one connects down like so, and this one connects like so. So each of these boxes is 1 foot by 1 foot or a foot square. So each of these boxes is 1 square foot, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 3 rows with 3 boxes in each row for a total of 1 square yard is equal to 9 feet squared. So you'll notice that this is just the square of this. So if we take 1 yard squared, we square everything, so 1 squared, 1 times 1 is 1. Yard squared is yard squared. 3 squared is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Feet squared is feet squared. And this is true for all area conversions. So if 12 inches is equal to 1 foot, to do the square of that, remember, so 12 inches, there would be 12 inches along here. And then there would be 12 rows of 12 square inches along here. So it would be squaring it. If I square both of these, 12 squared is 144. Inches squared is inches squared. Equals 1 squared is 1. And feet squared. So 1 square foot contains 144 square inches. Just like 1 square yard contains 9 square feet. Okay? So as we approach these unit analysis with squares, all we have to do that's different is just square the conversion as well. All right, so let's take a look at a quick example here. We're going to look at some conversion involving areas. There's a typical bedroom house with a square footage of 1,300 square feet. And the question is, well, how many square meters is that? You know, maybe you're coming over from Europe where they use square meters. You want to compare how big a house is in America to in Europe. So let's do that real quick. So we start as always the same way. So we start by writing down what we have, 1,300 square feet over 1. Now, to get to meters, we're going to have to go in a few different steps. We don't have a feet to meters conversion. We do, however, have a feet to inches. And then we can go inches to centimeters, and then centimeters to meters. So it's going to take us 3 steps to get there. So step 1 is going to be feet, and because feet's on top here, I want to put the feet on bottom here, and the inches on top here. And I know from the conversion table that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. Now notice, so this isn't regular feet, this is feet squared. So to get this squared, I'm simply going to have to square everything inside here to get that to work. All right, and my next one then is going to go, so here the feet are going to cancel these feet. Now the next one I'm going to do is convert these inches squared into centimeters. So inches are on top here, so on the bottom I'm going to put inches, and on the top I'm going to put centimeters. And I know from my table that it's 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. And again, to get the squared to work, I'm going to have to square this one as well. Square both the numbers and the units. Okay. Now my next thing to do here, inches squared will cancel. Now I need to go from centimeters to meters. And I've got centimeters on bottom, so it cancels this one. And then meters on top. And I know I need 100 centimeters in 1 meter. And again, because it's squared, I have to square this one. Now there's two ways to approach this. I'll show you both ways. First of all, the simplest way is to simply put it in your calculator. So at this point, my calculator would type in 1300. Now the 12 is on top, so I would be multiplying here, so it would be 1300 times 12 squared. And of course, that means times 12 times 12. So I can do it two ways. I can either multiply 12 and then multiply another 12, or hit the squared button on my calculator if there is one. So it's 1300 times 12 times 12, or 12 squared. This 2.54 is on top as well, so it's times 2.54 times 2.54, or times 2.54 squared. And then it's divided by 100 squared, so it's dividing by 100 twice. So divide by 100, divide by 100, or divide by 100 squared. So I can bring in my calculator and I can say 1300 times 12. I don't have a squared button, but that's okay. If you do, just hit squared. But I can do times 12 twice, because squared means multiply the same thing twice. The next number is on top here, so times 2.54. I'm going to do it twice because it's squared, so times 2.54. Now, notice how big this number has gotten. It gets huge so fast. And now we're going to divide by 100, but we're going to do that twice as well. If you had a squared button, you could just do divided by 100, hit the squared, and then equals would give you the answer. But for me, I've got to divide twice. So divided by and divided by. And suddenly that huge number has gotten small, right? So we end up at the end here with an answer of about 120. Now notice the centimeters have canceled, the centimeters have canceled, everything is canceled except the meters squared, 120 meters squared. So that's an example using area. Go ahead and pause the video here and do some of those practice area conversions that are on your worksheet for you. When you're ready to do volume, go ahead and click pause again. Okay, welcome back for the conversions involving volume. Now volume, remember, is going to be a cubed distance. So let's look at that example we did before. We said, so here is a square yard, and inside of that square yard are 3 rows of 3 square feet for a total of 9 square feet. Well, a cubic yard is a cube that measures 1 yard on every side. So it's a yard on this side, a yard on this side, and this side, and it goes up a cube in volume. So a cube up here, up here, up here. So these are all 1 yard as well. And of course, it comes in front here as well, here, and down to there. I'm just drawing's getting a little bit messy, but check this out. A cubic foot is a cube that's a foot by a foot and then a foot up as well. So right here's a foot, right here's a foot. There's a line. Here's a foot. Here's a foot. There's a line right there. Right? And the cubic foot down here, 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 here. So here's a cubic foot inside here. Right? And for every one of these, there's going to be 1, 2, 3 cubic feet. 1, 2, 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, 9. 9 cubic feet along the bottom. And then there's going to be another row of those cubic feet here. And another row here. So there's 9 on each row times 3 is 27 rows. So again, we have here that 3 feet is equal to 1 yard. And hopefully we've just shown with this drawing, although it's not the neatest in the world, that there would be 9 cubic feet here on the bottom and 3 rows of those on the way up for a total of 27 cubic feet is equal to 1 cubic yard. Now, just like squared, here's something that's really cool. If we take 3 feet and equals 1 yard and we cube these numbers in units, we get this. So 3 feet cubed, 3 cubed is 3 times 3, which is 9, times 3 is 27, 27. Feet cubed is feet cubed. 1 cubed, 1 times 1 times 1 is equal to 1 yards cubed. And that works for anything. So if I had, let's say there are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter, if I cube all of this, 10 cubed, 10 times 10 is 100, times 10 is 1,000, there's 1,000 cubic millimeters in 1 centimeter cubed. So if you had a little bitty, like you can see my fingers, a little bitty centimeter, like this, this, and this, a little cube that's a centimeter, smaller than a dice, there would be 1,000 cubic millimeters inside that 1 cubic centimeter, which is kind of cool to think there's can be that many of these cubic millimeters in there, and there are. So let's do a quick example. So here's an example of a conversion involving volume, right? So a 20-ounce soda contains about 591 cubic centimeters of soda. So again, a cubic centimeter is ish by ish by ish, right? So it's 1 centimeter on all sides. And it's crazy to think that a 20-ounce soda has 591 of those of soda inside there, but it really does. That's how many. And we want to know how many cubic inches of soda this is. All right, so let's take a look. We start this just do it like we do anything else. 591 cubic centimeters over 1. Now to get to inches, I know I can do that in one step because I have a conversion for centimeters to inches. So on the bottom I'm going to put centimeters because I want centimeters to cancel. And on top I'm going to put inches. And I know from my conversion table that there are 2.54 centimeters in 1 inch. Right. And now, in order to get this to cancel, notice the centimeters cubed, I have to actually cube everything inside here, right? And that's going to give me my answer because centimeters cubed will cancel with centimeters cubed and be inches cubed left. Now, as I do this, I have to be careful to make sure I actually cube these numbers in here. And of course, 1 cubed is 1, so I don't have to worry about that one too much. Let me bring my calculator up real quick. All right, so as I enter this in my calculator, I'm going to start by just typing in, let me clear that first, 591. And now the next number, the 2.54, is on the bottom of the fraction. So in cube means I'm going to be doing whatever I'm doing 3 times. So instead of just dividing once, I'm going to divide it 3 times. So I'm going to say divided by 2.54 divided by 2.54 divided by 2.54, and that's going to equal only 36.1. So that's going to, whoops, I'm going to erase that. 36.1 inches cubed. And you can see a centimeter cubed is like this, this, this. An inch cube is like that. It's much bigger. So we're going to have fewer of them in the soda, a whole bunch of small cubic centimeters, not very many inches cubed. Right? So that's it. All you got to do for powers is make sure that you raise it to that power. So if you have a squared unit, you square all the conversions involving that unit. If you have a cubed unit, you just cube all the units in that one. All right, well, that's it for today's lesson. Go ahead and finish up those cubic conversions or the volume conversions down there in your paper. Have a great day, my friends.